We've just been watching President Trump meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney at the White House. The president says they have a great relationship despite some differences, and President Trump laid out what he called natural business conflicts with Canada, saying they've come a long way since his initial round of tariffs. And Prime Minister Carney characterized it as a competition rather than conflict. President Trump also said they would talk about Gaza and the negotiations underway with Hamas. Let's bring back White House correspondent Karen Travers for more. And Karen, before we get to Canada, I also want to touch on the president saying furloughed workers may not get paid when the shutdown ends.
Yeah, Diane, this was an important comment from the president. He was asked a question about this, and he said, it depends on who we're talking about. He said, we're going to take care of our people, and some people really don't deserve to be taken care of, suggesting that some of the hundreds of thousands of furloughed workers right now, people who are off the job during the government shutdown and are not getting paid, would not get back pay, as they have had done to them in every single shutdown before. And here's the important part of this. There was legislation signed in 2019 when President Trump was president. He signed that legislation after that very long shutdown, 35 days, 2018 into 2019. It's the Government Employee Fair Treatment Act. And this says in there that every furloughed worker would get back pay once the shutdown ends and they go back to work. He signed that. And now the administration, though, is looking at that law and interpreting it and trying to look to see if there's a way to not give back pay. Our colleague Stephen Portnoy has been diving into this and says that this would not be lawful if they did not give that money back to the furloughed employees. But notable that the president there was suggesting that our people, as he put it, would be taken care of. He never explained who he was referring to there. There are going to be a lot of questions about this, the legality and the appropriateness, and of course the political approach here from the president.
And Canada is a significant trade partner. Next year, we'll review the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. So what's at stake in this meeting as far as trade?
The president was not going to commit to anything in this meeting. He was asked numerous times if Canada and the Prime Minister were going to walk away with something, and he said that will come later. But there's two different things here. You've got the tariffs right now that the administration has put on Canada, increased them back in August. There's another increase coming potentially on lumber, which is very important, that comes across the border from Canada into the United States. The president did not indicate that those numbers would go down at this point, saying he's willing to negotiate. He's going to have a conversation with Carney. Then you have the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Free Trade Agreement, which is up for renegotiation next year. That involves all three countries, of course, and that was negotiated and done during the first Trump administration. The president was asked about what he wants to see in a renegotiation of that, and Diane, he even indicated maybe you don't renegotiate it and you do it with individual countries, so that the U.S. and Canada would do something and the U.S. and Mexico. But again, all of that's on the table and still up for debate.
And Travers, thank you.